Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the pretty incredible story of a Balinese man whose own personal tragedy sent him on a journey that would end up challenging centuries of tradition and, really, the very nature of reality itself. So, just try to imagine this for a second. You're just a kid, your mother takes her own life, and then someone tells you this, that she's trapped and it's on you to free her? From that moment on, reversing this terrible fate became the one single focus of King Jimbar's entire life. 60 million years. I mean, that's a number that's almost impossible to even wrap your head around. For this young boy, this wasn't just some myth or a scary story. No, this was a real spiritual prison sentence for the mother he loved, and it was a burden that he now had to carry all on his own. So, his quest begins. Right away, he's slammed into this cultural wall, a concept called Gugon Tuan. It's this idea that you follow traditions just because that's how it's always been done. But for a kid who was desperate for real answers, who was always asking why, this kind of blind faith was just maddening. He had to know the meaning behind it all. Well, since nobody would give him a straight answer, he decided to take his education into his own hands. He became this quiet little observer, secretly piecing together a puzzle of what was basically forbidden knowledge. He'd watch one relative doing yoga, another performing these amazing healing massages, and even a third who dealt with these, well, spiritual illnesses. And all this secret knowledge led to some really strange and confusing experiences. He started to question absolutely everything. He started doing his own experiments, inspired by the myths of the monkey god Hanuman. He'd meditate and literally visualize himself swallowing the sun to absorb its power. And you have to remember, he's just a kid, playing with these ancient, powerful ideas. But that play, it started to have very real and very, very strange effects. He found himself living this weird paradox. He suddenly had this bizarre duality, a power to harm and a power to heal. A light punch would cause this awful swelling, but then a gentle touch could actually cure someone who was sick. He was wielding this incredible power with no instruction manual, and it left him totally baffled. This confusion drove him to start conducting his own experiments, testing the boundaries of reality, and it led him to a really profound discovery about the power of belief. Now, of course, the path to enlightenment is not always a straight line. In one of his early attempts at healing, he gathered up all these potent herbs he'd seen his grandfather use. Convinced that, more is better, he just threw them all into a pot, unwashed, and served it up to his friends. The results? Well, you can probably guess. Mass sickness. A very tough lesson in humility and basic hygiene. But this all led to his most groundbreaking experiment. By now, he's a young man, he's studying hypnotherapy, and he takes 11 of his friends to a famously haunted crossroads. He puts them all in a trance and just tells them to dance. But here's the wild part. People passing by started fleeing in terror. They swore they saw demons, ghosts, strange flying lights, the exact things local folklore said haunted that very spot. And that was his aha moment, a total breakthrough. He suddenly had this radical new way of understanding Layak, the feared Balinese demon. It wasn't a real, shape-shifting monster out there in the dark. No, it was a powerful suggestion, an image that was being projected by the human mind, built from the stories we're all told. Basically, we see what we believe we're going to see. This revelation unlocked a whole new philosophy for him. So he took these ideas, and drawing on principles from Ayurveda, he came to this conclusion, that anything at all that contains the three core elements of existence, fire, water, and air, well, it possesses a form of consciousness. It's alive. And if it's alive, that means you can communicate with it. And listen, this wasn't just some abstract theory for him. He really lived it. I mean, look at this quote. If he gets lost, he literally talks to his motorcycle. He sees the fire in the engine, the water in the radiator, the air in the tires, and to him, that's a life form he can work with. It's not just a machine, it's a partner on his journey. In the end, his whole journey from confusion to enlightenment, it all came back to its powerful and very painful starting point. And here is the absolute heart of his discovery. The real fight. It's not with demons or ghosts at some crossroads. The real battle is with the limiting beliefs that we inherit, that Gugun Tuan in our own minds that tells us what we can and can't do. Jimbar realized that any great spiritual awakening requires what he calls a permiku, a trigger. And his trigger? It was the most painful moment of his life. The love he had for his mother, the desperate longing to free her, and the deep, profound wound that her loss created, that pain wasn't something to get over. It was the engine. It was the very fuel that forced him to start his incredible journey. And that, really, is what Jimbar's story leaves us with. It suggests that our deepest traumas, our most painful wounds, maybe they aren't weaknesses we need to hide. Maybe they're the triggers, the actual seeds of our greatest strengths. Which leaves us all with a pretty powerful question to think about. What hidden power could your deepest wounds unlock?